بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. This is lesson 19 in Laamiyyatul-Af'aal. We have reached the chapter dealing with Asma'ul Fa'ilin wal Maf'ulin. Okay? The Ismul Fa'il and the Ismul Maf'ul, as well as the Sifatul Mushabbah, as we mentioned in the last class. Last class, we defined Ismul Fa'il as well as Ismul Maf'ul, okay? Because the rule is that we can't talk about something if we don't know what that thing is. Al-hukmu ala shay'in far'un ala tasawwurihi. Giving a ruling on something is first knowing what's conceptualizing and understanding what that thing actually is. So now that we know what an Ismul Fa'il is, we're going to speak about the scales of the Ismul Fa'il, Ismul Maf'ul. Is that clear?
نعم.
The last point that we mentioned was the origins of both. We said that the Ismul Fa'il and Ismul Maf'ul will be formed from one of two types of verbs. What are those two types of verbs?
نعم ثلاثي أو غير ثلاثي.
Thulathi, like fa'ula, fa'ila, and fa'ala, and ghayru thulathi, which includes what?
غير ثلاثي is رباعي خماسي سداسي.
Sense. Ruba'i mujarrid, like fa'ala, right? Or ruba'i بمعنى ثلاثي مزيد بحرف واحد كمثل أسلم, right? وخماسي like اجتمع, or sudasi like استغفر. Is that clear?
نعم.
We're going to first speak about today. We're going to start speaking these, reading, knowing the scales of these. Okay, we're going to lay them down like we always do in a summary form, and then when we get to lines of poetry, inshallah, it'll be clear. I have to make a note that everything in this chapter that's mentioned in the lines of poetry, we haven't put it in the summary, similar to the first chapter. Okay, remember the first chapter, we didn't mention everything in that chapter in the summary. Do you remember?
The first, sorry?
The first chapter ever on the Fi'l Mujarrad, right? We
نعم نعم
didn't mention some issues in our
نعم
summary. In the
نعم.
summary. Likewise, same issue here, okay? In this summary, the purpose of the summary is to have a general overview of what's in the chapter. If I actually tell me about it, okay? You able to tell me, okay? You understand?
نعم نعم.
So the first thing we want to speak about today is the Ism al-Fa'il. The Ism al-Fa'il formed from thulathi verbs. So first we're going to speak about the Ism al-Fa'il from thulathi verbs, then غير thulathi, then we're going to move to the Ism al-Maf'ul from thulathi verbs, and then the Ism al-Maf'ul from غير thulathi. Is that clear?
نعم.
طيب. So the Ism al-Fa'il formed from thulathi verbs. The qiyas in shadh scales for the Ism al-Fa'il from thulathi verbs will vary. Okay, we didn't give a specific number or nothing like that. They're gonna vary. Is that clear? The qiyas in the shad for the thulathi verbs, for the ism thulathi from thulathi verbs will vary. Is that clear?
نعم.
We're gonna speak first about fa'ala. Fa'ala. Right? What's the thulathi scales? Tell me.
ثلاثي فعل.
Fa'ala. What else?
فعل فعل فعل.
بارك الله فيك. نعم. بفعل الفعل يأتي بزيادة مع ولا no. بفعل الفعل ذو التجريد أو فعل يأتي ومكسورة عين أو على فعل. طيب, so the first one we want to speak about is فعل. فعل. Okay? فعل. Is that clear?
نعم.
When we're speaking about فعل right now, this is going to include both متعدي and لازم. It's going to include فعل متعدي and فعل لازم. Is that clear?
حسنا.
طيب. We said a متعدي verb is what? ما يتجاوز إلى المفعول به, that which exceeds and takes a مفعول به, right? In the lazim, ما لم يتجاوز إلى المفعول به, that which does not exceed and go past and take a مفعول به. Is that clear?
نعم.
طيب. So with regards to the فعل, it's two types of اسم الفاعل as formed from فعل verbs. Okay, what do you think those two types are?
Two types of verbs of two types is فعل formed from فعل.
Use what we previously learned. طيب, I'm gonna give you the first one. قياس.
شاذ.
قياس, right?
نعم.
قياس.
وشاذ قياس وشاذ.
Exactly. So the first type is قياس, and it's only gonna have one scale. The فعل متعدي or لازم. Okay? The فعل verb period. The قياس for the اسم الفاعل is only one scale. Is that clear?
نعم. So we have قياس. نعم.
One scale. And it's فاعل. 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 Like what? ضربه فهو ضارب. ضربه, he hit him. فهو ضارب. He's a hitter. Okay? ذهب فهو ذاهب. He went, so he's leaving. He's going. Is that clear?
نعم.
The examples that I mentioned are very important. Why do I say that? Every example that I mention is going to include, it's not just a random example. I mentioned an example for فعل متعدي ضربه as well as فعل لازم ذهب. Okay? ضربه فهو ضارب. ذهب فهو ذاهب. Is that clear?
نعم.
So the اسم الفاعل for ضرب is ضارب. اسم الفاعل for ذهب is ذاهب. أنا ذاهب إلى المسجد. Right?
مم.
طيب. Now the second type is, what do you think?
آم، شاذ.
شاذ. بارك الله فيكم. شاذ. And it's going to be 5 scales, meaning the اسم الفاعل that's formed from فعل verbs, okay? It's going to be 5 different scales that shad, meaning they don't come on the scale of fa'ilun. Is that clear?
نعم.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you the 5 scales. The first 3 scales, I'll give you this mention after. I'll give you this principle after, okay? So the first scale is what? The first scale is af'alu. 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 For example, shaba فهو أشيب. شاب فهو أشيب. شاب رجل, to be gray haired. فهو أشيب, he's gray haired. Is that clear?
نعم. عفوا. For example is أشيب يصير مياه.
أشيب. أشيب.
Okay. نعم.
No, I'm gonna have to mention this right now. I'm gonna have to mention what I was gonna mention, okay?
حسن.
Or I can mention it after. I can mention that. Is that, you have that? So the
نعم.
first scale is أفعل. شاب فهو أشيب. شاب رجل فهو أشيب. Be gray haired, okay? The next scale is فيعل. فيعلون. I'm sorry. فيعلون. فيعلون. Okay? فيعلون. كطاب فهو طيب. Right? هذا طيب. جاد فهو جيد. Okay? ساد فهو سيد. Okay? طاب الشيء فهو طيب. The thing was good, so we call that what? طيب. Is that clear?
نعم. أفعل أن فيعل. نعم.
Nah. The third scale is فعيل. فعيل. Okay? So it's opposite. They switched the ya and the ain is switched in this one. فعيل. Okay? خفف فهو خفيف. خفف فهو خفيف. To be light. خف الشيء, the thing was light, فهو خفيف. Okay? Is that clear?
Mm. For example is خف خفيف.
فهو خفيف. You say خفف فهو خفيف. Is that clear?
نعم.
طيب. The fourth scale, I'm going to give it to you. Now, the fourth scale, okay, as well as the fifth scale, no, sorry. The fourth scale is the fourth scale. Imam Ibn Malik did not mention it in the poem, okay?
Mm.
Rather, other ulama they found it, okay? But that scale was muf'ilun, muf'ilun, muf'ilun. Habba فهو محب. Habba, he loved. فهو محب, he's a lover, okay? حب الشيء فهو محب. فهو محب. He loves something. فهو محب. He's a lover. Okay. محب الله. حب الله فهو محب الله. Okay? He loved Allah, so he's a lover of Allah. Is that clear?
نعم.
طيب. And the fifth scale is فعلان. 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 Okay? جاع فهو جوعان. You know that word in the جوعان, right?
نعم.
فجاع فهو جوعان. The word جاع is a فعل verb. Okay? The word
فع
جاع
فعلان.
فعلان with a dhamma, no dhammatain.
اه فعلان. اوكي فعلا.
No.
اوكي.
No dhammatain, no tanween here. As well as on the first one, af'alu, no af'alun. Reason why? Some nahu issues.
اه اوكي. هذه افعله. اوكي.
Af'alu with a dhamma, no
اوكي.
dhammatain. Okay? No tanween.
اوكي.
فعلان. جاع فهو جوعان. Is that clear?
نعم.
So
جاء.
these are the five scales. All of these verbs that we gave in the scale, af'alu, fa'ilun, fa'ilun, right? Muf'ilun, wa fa'lanu. They have fa'ala verbs that come on these scales, okay? For the ismul fa'il. Is that clear?
نعم.
Now I have to mention a point. This is a point that's mentioned in the actual poem, okay? That these first three scales that was mentioned. What's the first three scales?
um, أفعل
Uh-huh.
فوعل and
Hold on.
فعيل.
Second one.
فوعل.
No. Fa'ilun.
في فو. اوكي.
Mhm.
اوكي فيعل and فعيل.
Good. These first three scales, they're what we call, these first three scales are carried, we call it humila, are carried on the scales of fa'ila. Write this down. Just write it down and then you're going to understand it afterwards, okay? Write down exactly what I say, inshallah, okay?
اوكي.
These first three scales are carried on the scales of fa'ila or fa'ula verbs that have a similar related meaning or an opposite meaning. I'm going to give you an example. I'm
um,
going to I'm gonna give you
first
some.
first three scales are carried on scales of فاعلة.
A fa'ila or fa'ula verbs with a dhamma on
أو
the
أو فعل.
no no or fa'ula with a dhamma on the
أو
fa'ula
ف اوكي فاعل.
verbs that have a similar
um,
related meaning.
عفوا you mentioned three examples, right? Three types. You said فعلة أو
Fa'ila or fa'ula
اوكي أو فعل. اوكي جيد.
that have a similar related meaning or an opposite meaning. I'm gonna give you some examples.
Similar related.
Okay,
نعم.
is that clear?
نعم. Opposite
Okay,
meaning.
so what do we mean by this? What's the first scale that we mentioned of these five, real quick?
أفعل.
F'alu. F'alu is one of the qiyas scales for, don't write this down, but just understand, okay? F'alu is one of the qiyas scales for a fa'ila lazim verb, okay? And the scale of F'alu is dealing with uh, words that are like, what do you call it? Flaws, okay? Flaws for something, okay? So we said shab for who ashyabu, right? To be gray haired, white head. That's not really looked as good, right? You start going gray, right?
نعم.
This is why does it come on the scale of this fa'ala verb, right? Because they say humila ala awira is carried on is carried and compared with the fa'ila verb with a similar related meaning. What is that? Awira. Awira is to be like one eye. Okay. Okay. So awira, to be one eyed, that's a flaw. That's not really something praiseworthy, right? That's a physical flaw, physical deficiency. Is that clear?
نعم.
So because of physical deficiency, the word shaba, okay, it comes on a scale of it just like awirafu wa atwaru. Okay? I'm gonna give it another example, okay? Perhaps if you watch the recording, it'll come to you. But once we move on further, you'll understand more, I believe, okay?
اوكي نعم.
What's the second scale?
فيعل.
فيعلون. Good. فيعلون. Okay. We said طاب فهو طيبون, right? Is that clear?
نعم طاب.
وهو طيبون. Okay. Now, طيبون, what's the opposite of good? خبيث. Now, لا يستوي الخبيث والطيب, as Allah mentioned. The طيب is not equal. The khabith, the filthy, what's filthy is not comparable or equal to what's good, right?
نعم.
So we have طاب for طيب. طاب is a fa'ala verb, okay? But it's ism al-fa'il, it doesn't come like fa'ilun. It's طيب on the scale of fa'ilun. Why? Because the Arabs, they carried it on its opposite. What is opposite meaning khabutha. Khabutha فهو خبيث. Okay?
نعم.
For example, the third scale is what?
فعيل.
Fa'ilun. Okay? Fa'ilun is the qiyas scale for fa'ula verbs. For fa'ula verbs. Okay? And fa'ilun is they say fa'ilun is the sister of fa'ilun. Okay? Fa'ilun and fa'ilun is like sisters. Okay? They really kind of like the same thing. Okay? But fa'ilun is the qiyas for fa'ula verbs. Okay? So I gave the example khaffa for huwa khafifun, right?
نعم.
Khaffa is a fa'ala verb. We said that the qiyas for fa'ala verbs, the ism al-fa'il should be on fa'ilun. However, the Arabs were her saying khafifun. Why? Because they carried it and compared it and put it up against its opposite. What's the opposite of khaffa? Thaqula, to be heavy.
ثقلة. نعم.
Thaqula. And we said thaqula for thaqilun, right?
نعم.
Thaqilun. So khafifun, thaqilun. Is that clear?
نعم.
Watch the video. I believe it's going to be made clear. Okay?
نعم. خف and ثقل. That's the it comes under فعلة.
Exactly.
I
And that
see.
has the opposite meaning of it.
Okay.
Is that clear?
نعم.
Qab has the opposite meaning of khabutha. Okay? To be filthy. Shab has a similar meaning to awira, to be one-eyed, having deficiency. Is that clear?
Mm.
Yeah, let's move on to the second of the thulathi verbs. And that
Uh,
is what?
نعم. You mentioned 4 and 5. They don't, Imam Malik didn't mention that, you said? Or no, is it only 4?
He
Both?
didn't mention these. He didn't mention these when mentioning the. He didn't mention them. Okay.
4 and 5, yeah?
Five. Yeah.
Okay, جيد.
Oh, yeah. He didn't mention it when we speaking about what do you call it? He didn't mention it when we speaking about the ism al fa'il or fa'ala verb. Okay. When he's
نعم.
went through the shad scales of it. Is that clear? When he
نعم.
went through the shad scales of the ism al fa'il for fa'ala verbs, he didn't mention muf'ilun and fa'lan for those. Okay.
Okay, جيد.
All right. Now, okay. Now we got the second type. We got fa'ila muta'addi. So we're breaking it down. It's not like just fa'ila altogether. Lazim muta'addi. No. Second one we speaking about is fa'ila muta'addi. Is that clear?
نعم.
Fa'ila muta'addi. And it's one type only, mashallah. One type only. One type only. Allahu Akbar. وَالنَّوْعُ هُوَ قِيَاسٌ. That one type is qiyas. I.e. is no shad in this case. Is that clear?
نعم.
That one scale is fa'ilun. The fa'ila muta'addi, it comes on the scale of fa'ilun. Is that clear? That's the qiyas for fa'ila muta'addi. The qiyas for the ism al-fa'il is fa'ilun. Alimahu, he knew it. Fahuwa what? Alimun. Okay? It's a scholar, he knows. Okay? Fahimahu, he understood it. Fahuwa what? Fahimun. Is that clear? He understood it.
فاعل. Okay.
Is that clear?
نعم.
Alimahu fahuwa alimun. Alimun is the ism al-fa'il for alima. Okay, he knew it. What do we call that person? What is fahuwa alimun? He's an alim. He's a scholar. He's someone who's know. He knows. He's a learner. I'm sorry. He's learning. Is that clear?
نعم.
Nah. فهمه. He understood it. فهم is a fi'l muta'addi. He understood it. فهو what? فهو فاهم. Okay, he understands. He's an understander. Okay, comprehender. Say that. Is that clear?
نعم.
Nah. Let's move on. So that's what? Fa'ala verbs. Now we did fa'ila muta'addi. What you think the next one is? Third.
فاعل لازم.
بارك الله فيكم. فاعل لازم. الله أكبر.
فيك بارك.
فاعل لازم. So the ism al-fa'il of fa'ila lazim is what we're speaking about right now. What's the ism al-fa'il for fa'ila lazim? Give me a fa'ila lazim verb. See if you know any.
فاعل لازم.
Give me one verb that's fa'il on the scale of fa'il and is lazim. That's all I want.
I don't know. I know like
What about fariha? Fariha, to be joyful, right? Fariha. طيب?
okay.
Fariha.
نعم.
He's farih or farih. Okay? To be joyful, to be happy. طيب? Good.
نعم.
So this is two types. This fa'il for fa'ila lazim verbs is going to be two types. What do you think those two types are?
قياس شاذ.
Qiyas and shad. We always speak about qiyas first. We speak about the rule first, okay, and then the exceptions to the rule. Okay, the rule is the qiyas, the shad is the exception. Okay, is that clear?
نعم.
So it's three scales, meaning a fa'ila lazim verb for the qiyas for the ism al-fa'il, it can be on one of these three scales. Okay.
نعم.
Now the first scale is fa'ilun. Fa'ilun. That's fa'ilun on the same scale. Fa'ila, fa'ila, فهو فa'ilun. With the kesr on the ain. Is that clear? And the dhammatain.
فاعل. okay. نعم.
Fa'ilun.
فاعل. okay.
Dhammatain.
Mhm.
Is that clear?
نعم.
Like what? Ajila. What does ajila mean?
عاجز. like to be
Ajila.
tired.
Say it again.
tired. To be tired.
Not ajiza. Or I said ajila.
oh لا أعرف عجلة.
Ajila means to be hasty. Okay.
آه.
فهو what? Ajilun. أنت عاجل. Okay, you're hasty. Okay.
عجلة ساعات.
Okay. What about um, ta'iba? Ta'iba means what? Ta'iba,
not tired.
right? So how would I say I'm tired? And the ta'ibun.
مم.
You understand?
نعم.
Fariha. Fariha rajul. Okay, the man was happy, joyful. How would you say that? For who?
فرح.
And a farih. And a farihun bik. Naam.
نعم.
And a farih. Alhamdulillah. You understand?
نعم.
Now, this is the ismul fa'il. Okay. So we give the example ajila for ajilun, as well as shajiya for who shajin. Give that example as well. Shajiya, shajiya for who shajin. Now shajiya, that's a ismul. I'm sorry, that's a fa'ila verb. صح?
نعم.
shajiya. However, it's ismul fa'il shajin. Okay, shajin. Why? Because its last letter is weak. Okay, so the last letter is cut off. It has a 10 wing. Is that clear?
نعم.
Shajiya means to be worried, okay, or troubled, okay, to be worried or troubled or grieved, okay. Is that clear?
نعم.
What does hazina mean?
حزين to be sad.
Now, see what I'm saying? And a hazinu, right? And a hazin, I'm sad, right? All of these are descriptive words. You understand?
مم.
Is that clear?
نعم.
Oh yeah. That's the first scale. Was what? Fa'ilun. The second scale was af'alu. So what af'alu? Af'alu. We spoke about the scale on the fa'ala, remember?
نعم.
So af'alu, like what? For example, شنب. شنب فهو أشنب. شنب means for somebody to have like really sharp teeth, like kind of like, you ever see somebody with like the teeth is like really sharp,
نعم.
really pointy and stuff like that?
مهم.
That's what it means. Okay. Let me see if it's a, would you express that? You don't even have it there. Okay. Yeah, but shaniba is to what I expressed. Okay.
مهم.
So for who is shani, for who eshnabu, for who eshnabu. Okay. For who eshnabu. Again, I said that the scale of F alu is dealing with words that are flaws. Okay. Physical flaws or physical deficiencies, like you being bald, for example. Sali arajulu for asla'u, who asla'u, sali arajulu. The man was bald for asla'u. You say who asla'u? He's bald. Okay, you understand?
نعم.
Being bald is not looked at as something that's usually praiseworthy, right? Person's
مهم.
losing his hair, it's looked at as like, yeah, man, I'm losing my hair. You understand?
مهم.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking up. Just double check the word shaniba. Or we can even do this. Sawida. Sawida. Okay. Also, F-alu. I said F-alu scale is the F-alu. Words on the scale is dealing with what?
Close. You said.
But also colors. Also colors.
sorry
For
ده.
who sawida. For who what? As felt sawida. Sawida. Sawida smihfadati. For what? Well, so that one. We say sawida jawali. For who aswadu. Okay. فهو
مم.
أسود. قدر فهو أخضر. حمر فهو أحمر. صفر فهو أصفر. Is that clear?
مهم.
نعم. نعم. شنب. أيوة. الشنب دقة في أطراف الأسنان. To have sharpness, real sharpness on the tips of your teeth. Meaning, like I said, sharp tooth. That's a good way to say it. Okay?
شنبة. نعم.
شنبة, to be sharp tooth. Okay?
مهم.
طيب. The third and last scale of the qiyas for fa'ila lazim verbs is fa'lanu. Fa'lanu. This is a scale that we know. Rahmanu. Okay? Right?
نعم. فعلان.
Fa'lanu. Fa'lanu.
فعلان تنوين بدون تنوين.
بدون تنوين. Okay?
فعلان.
Is it fa'lanu? Okay. Now, what does this scale fa'lanu point to? Fa'lanu points to imtila'u shape. It's for something to be filled up with something. To be filled up with something. Imtila'u shape. So if you say rahima for rahman or rahman, he's the one full of mercy. Okay.
مم. تنوين to be fit.
Jadila,
نعم.
to be filled up with something, with that attribute. Okay. To be filled with that attribute.
نعم.
So جذلة بمعنى فرحة. جذلة بمعنى فرحة. You got that?
Um, لا لا I'm just trying to write it down now.
Okay.
Uh, أنا أمر رحمة فالرحمة رحمن صح؟
Yeah, but don't even give that example. Give the example of because we're talking about fa'ila verb, but that could rahimahu could be what you call it, mutaaddi. Okay, so I don't want to give that example. I
Okay.
just was saying rahmanu, so it's a word that you're familiar with for sure. Okay,
Okay.
that comes on that scale. I mentioned that so that you would see the meaning of imtilat, be full of something. Okay,
Okay.
so but for example, you got jadila. جذلة بمعنى فرحة. You got
جذ
that?
جذلة. Okay.
جذلة
جذلة.
فهو جذلان. أنا جذلان الحمد لله. جذلان. Okay? To be joyful, jolly. Okay? Or you hear people say, تعب فهو what?
تعبان.
تعبان. I'm full of time. I'm tired. You understand? To be full of tiredness. You understand?
تعب يكون مفعول عنده فعل أن تعبان.
نعم. فاعل
ت-
تعبان. It's the way how the others are heard speaking.
So
Right.
it can go under I can say تعب or تعبان.
Exactly.
Both are
Exactly.
okay.
أنا
Okay.
تعب. أنا تعب. أنا تعبان. Right. Is that clear?
نعم.
Nah. Okay. Nah. So those are the scales of like was it Shebi'a, right? Shebi'a to be full. فأنا شبعان. I'm full, right? I'm satisfied. I'm totally satiated. I ate to my full, right?
نعم.
The Shaba'ah, okay? Jazlan, okay? Rahman. All of these words on that scale point to what?
To be filled with the attribute.
Right. امتلاء الشيء. طيب. So those are the qiyas scales. فاعل, أفعل, وفعلان. Okay? فاعل تعيب فهو تعيب. أفعل سود فهو أسود. Right? تعب فهو تعبان. Second type is what?
Um, شاذ.
Shath. Shath. It's only two scales. Two scales. Only two scales. Okay. I'm gonna give you the scales and then we're gonna explain a little bit more about them. Okay. So the first shath scale for a fa'ila lazim verb, meaning it's shath for it to come on the scale, but that's how it was heard by the Arabs, is fa'ilun. 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 Is that clear?
نعم.
I'm gonna give you an example too.
فاعل. Okay.
Right. Like what?
فاعل.
Faniya. Faniya. فهو فان. Faniya. كل من عليها fan, Allah says. Quran. Okay. Fenia means for something to go away, to depart, okay, to vanish, okay. Fenia shay'un, the thing vanished, it went away, okay.
عفوا.
Is that clear?
is the scale فاعل or فاعل. So it's the normal.
Fa'ilun with an alif after fa'ilun.
نعم, that's the normal like
Right, we didn't like the fa'ala verb, right? We didn't
نعم.
speak. We're gonna go to with
I see. Okay. فاعل. Okay. فاعل.
similar to the reason of the previous ones when we said it's carried on, either a
Okay.
similar related meaning or opposite meaning. I'm just giving you the scales first, though.
Okay. فاعل. And an example is what's the example again, أخي?
Fenia.
Okay.
Fenia means to vanish away, okay? To go away, to vanish, okay? Call it. To like call it. To go away, like, you know?
فنية.
Or who are
فنية.
fanning.
Mm,
Allah says in the Quran, Kullu man alayha fan. Everybody on it, I mean on the earth is gonna fan, it's gonna vanish away. وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. And the only thing that's gonna remain is the wajh, the face of Dhul Jalali wal Ikram. Okay? Allah, meaning Allah. Face of
نعم.
Allah. Is that clear?
نعم.
For fanning is on a scale of fa'ilun, okay? You just can't see the ya, the in, because of the harf al-illah. Okay? Is that clear?
نعم.
The second scale is fa'ilun. 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 Okay, what? Bakhila. Bakhila. Bakhila to be stingy. فهو بخيل. هو بخيل. He's a miser. Okay?
Mm,
فهو بخيل. Is that clear?
نعم.
طيب. Now, these shad verbs, we got fa'ilun and fa'ilun. Okay? As I mentioned before, for the fa'ala shad verbs, in this case, these two scales of fa'ilun and fa'ilun, okay? These two scales are carried on the scales of fa'ala or fa'ila, or I'm sorry, or fa'ila verbs. Let me say that again. These two scales of fa'ilun and fa'ilun for the shad of the fa'ila lazim, they're carried. They call it humila. They're carried or compared, okay, or paired up with fa'ala verbs or fa'ula verbs that have what? similar related meaning or an opposite meaning. I'm gonna give an example. Okay. Did you get that?
No,
No.
no, no.
So it's the same, basically the same note from before.
Okay.
It's basically the same note. I'm saying that these two scales are fa'ilun and fa'il, right? They
Mhm.
carried on different type of scales now. They carried on with fa'ala verbs and fa'ula verbs, as opposed to before it was fa'ila.
فاعلة and فاعلة. I see.
You
Okay.
understand?
Okay.
Same issue. So we said faniya. Faniya means what? What did I say it meant?
ثانية نسيته.
To vanish, to go
Okay.
away.
Okay.
Okay? Faniya for fanin, humila ala dhahaba for dhahib is carried compared with the fa'ala verb of dhahaba. Dhahaba has a similar related meaning to go away. Dhahaba rajulu for dhahib. The man went away. He left. Okay?
Mhm.
So this fa'ila verb, okay, these different type of reasons and stuff, this is what the people of South they mention why it's mentioned like this, okay?
نعم.
So did you understand that?
نعم نعم.
Now, now we got fa'ilun. Fa'ilun, we're gonna get to it. Either if we don't do it this class, next class, fa'ilun is the qiyas scale for fa'ula verbs. Okay, one of the qiyas scales for fa'ula verbs. Okay, like we did before, thaqula for thaqil, right? For
Mm.
thaqil. Like خف الشيء فهو خفيف حمل على ثقل فهو ثقيل. Okay. Now fa'ilun, we gave the example what?
بخيل.
بخل فهو بخيل.
Mhm.
حمل is carried and compared on the fa'ula verb karuma. Karuma means what?
كريم. That's
Kareem,
it.
Kareem. It's the opposite of bakhil, right?
Mm.
It's the opposite. Bakhil, Kareem. Okay.
Mm.
In the poem, he says, حملا على غيره حملا على غيره لنسبة كخفيف طيب أشب في سوغ من فعل. Okay. That's what he says in the poem. He said, حملا على غيره لنسبة. It's carried on another scale linisbatin due to a relationship that they have, either a similar related meaning relationship or opposite meaning. Is that clear?
Okay. نعم.
So yeah. What's the last of the scales you think we're gonna speak about? Because
فاعلة.
that's say it again.
فاعلة.
Fa'ula. And fa'ula, we're gonna stop here. Why? Because it has a lot of shad scales. Okay, has a lot of shad scales. Okay.
Okay. جيد.
Perhaps we'll mention. No, we want to mention everything at one time. Qiyas and the shad. Okay, just keep it like that. So we're gonna end here because there's a lot of shad scales for the fa'ula verb, for the ismul fa'il of fa'ula, and we'll speak about that too. What the term ismul fa'il for this fa'ula verb? Okay, is it called ismul fa'il or is it really sifatul mushabbah? Okay, speak about that. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Any questions?
Um, just with regards to the حملة stuff you mentioned having the opposite meaning, like practically knowing that, how would I use that? Just is it because if I know, for example, bakhil and the opposite is kari, I can. I just don't know how do I use that practically? That understanding.
I don't really see a way that you can understand it or use it practically. You
Okay.
understand?
Okay.
It's something that he mentioned in the poem, so we mention it here, okay? But I don't see how for you to be able to, I guess, make language yourself. That's the question.
Yeah, yeah. Like if I know bakhil and then the opposite is kareem, so
Right.
or is it more just it's just something you know and then I don't know.
It's
It's just,
something you know.
okay.
Hakada sunnah, okay? The language was heard, you know? So things like this, reading in the dictionary and stuff, you'll see how to out of set different things. However, when you see that bakhil, oh, that's a fa'ila scale. That's a fa'ila verb. But even that, bakhil also comes on scale bakhula. Okay. So yeah. Is
Okay.
that clear?
Okay. No, no.
Yeah. Purpose of mentioning it here was It's a part of the book, okay? But I haven't personally seen practical application of knowing that, okay?
Okay, okay.
Besides seeing the connection between words. Okay?
Hmm.
Yeah,
بارك الله فيك. Yeah.
yeah. Any other questions?
No. Just need to review it, to be honest. Yeah, that's it.
And memorize, review and
Yeah,
memorize.
nah, memorize. Yeah.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.
عليه السلام ورحمة الله.